Welcome to Dom's Corner, everybody. I'm your host, Dom Martino, and today we got a lot of exciting things to talk about. Please, before we do anything, like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comments section, and share this with your friends, of course. So, as you probably saw in the thumbnail, and this is something we're definitely going to do, we're going to be talking about some of the greatest sequels of all time, some of the greatest movie sequels ever. But before we get to that, we do have some news. And speaking of movie sequels, this is a big piece of news here. So I excuse me, I went to see the film Lion King a while back, a couple years back, or was that last year? I actually think it was last year that the Lion King had come out. One of my more anticipated movies of the year. Couldn't wait, and overall, I was fairly disappointed. I think it's an okay movie. I just don't prefer the more verbatim remakes. So it's an okay movie, but I'm not overly impressed with it. One of the things I did say, and you guys could check out the review on the channel here, but one of the things I did say about that movie after I saw it was that I think it can actually benefit from a sequel. When you think about it, the original Lion King had an animated sequel, and it didn't do well. And if we do a sequel to this one, it would benefit it because it would make sense as to why they were doing such a verbatim first movie if there is more story to expand on later. And the original sequel is not good. And I think what can really benefit is playing in the Lion King universe and making an entirely new story in this kind of live action looking world. It's really an animated movie, but it's a live action looking world because of the realistic animation. Now, the other thing I find to be really interesting about this story is that Barry Jenkins is actually going to be directing this. And if you guys have not seen Moonlight, this movie is amazing. That is Barry Jenkins' first film, and it won the Oscar for Best Picture. So I definitely recommend Moonlight for those of you who have not seen that movie. Another thing that you could use as reference is If Beale Street Can Talk. Also an awesome movie. And a pretty good follow-up to Moonlight. Not as good as Moonlight, if I may say so myself, but definitely a wonderful follow-up. But it's hard to follow up Moonlight when it's so good that it actually won the Best Picture at the Oscars. But I like this idea of Barry Jenkins directing. I think he has a very specific style to his films, so I don't know how it's necessarily going to work out in a Lion King setting. Now, it feels like they're kind of doing the Star Wars route, right? Where they get this director who's pretty much known for the blockbuster at the beginning when Disney started doing Star Wars. They got Jon Favreau to kind of kick it off, give you the familiar, and then they're going to make a new movie where it's going to take risks, and they got Rian Johnson to do The Last Jedi to follow that up. Now, it kind of feels like they're doing something very similar with The Lion King here, which might not be a bad plan, because say what you will about all three Star Wars films, each one made $1 billion. Now here, with Barry Jenkins, I think that this is going to be a Lion King movie that's actually going to take a lot of risks, and that's another thing that we can actually really get out of Barry Jenkins that I think is really going to benefit that film. So I actually really like the idea. I would like to see a lot of risks taken with Lion King. I would like to see it go in a very different direction. And I think Barry Jenkins is the guy to do something like that. So, very exciting news. And I can't wait to see a Lion King 2 because it's going to be a whole new story. The pressure's going to be off. I think it's going to play a lot better, even though the first one was underwhelming to me. I like it, but it's an okay movie. But I don't love it like I wanted to. New director, new direction, new story, new everything, I think can really work very well. So let me know what you guys think about this news. Are you excited about Lion King 2? And how'd you feel about the first movie? Did you love it? Did you not love it? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Okay. So, want to follow this news up, and we are going to now talk about The Boys season 2. I'm sorry, not Boys season 2. I've been watching Boys season 2 and I'm loving it. But more or less the Boys spin-off series and kind of what that's going to entail. So first of all, I want to say, yeah, give me more Boys. I mean, more in this universe to play in. Fantastic. I mean, it's a great show. One of the best on TV, in my opinion. And so I want to see a spin-off series of The Boys. This whole idea about superheroes being in college or whatever, I gotta say, I don't like as much. I mean, I feel like we've done similar things before. I know that the X-Men, it's not really a college, but it kind of is. It's a school for, superheroes, and we've seen things in the similar vein. Now, I'm sure that whatever they're going to do with this Boys spinoff is going to be a very different thing than the X-Men. But I just feel like, really? That's it? But could be amazing, could be great, could be a lot better than it sounds on paper. Maybe not all the details are given yet, so let's hold off. Let's see. But actually, the reason I wanted to bring this up is I really want to hear what everybody thinks about The Boys season 2 so far, because I'm loving it and I can't wait. So let me know in the comments below. Do you like the idea of a Boys spin-off series? And are you liking Boys season 2 so far? And don't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, please, in the comments. And even myself, I have an episode or two yet to watch. So yeah, so that is all I really have for news, to be honest with you. Oh, there is one more thing that I actually got toward the beginning of the show, and that is the first look at Ahsoka Tano. So basically, they are putting out the Ahsoka Tano lightsaber for Mandalorian Season 2, the Black Series, and Rosario Dawson's version of Ahsoka Tano was on the box. So we did get a look at that, and I enjoy the look of it. However, I still want to see it in a live-action setting, but I always knew that Rosario Dawson, with her facial features and everything, would be perfect for a film like this. So I actually think what's even cooler is that they're putting out her lightsabers. Obviously, if you want both lightsabers, you have to buy two separate lightsabers. But yeah, I think having the Ahsoka lightsabers is pretty cool. I really like the VFX lightsabers. I think what they've done with them, especially now, has been nothing short of fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed it, or really enjoyed them so far, playing with them in the Think Geek store or wherever you can find them. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. But yeah, it was cool to see her finally and what she would look like as Ahsoka Tano. So I'm excited for Mandalorian Season 2, and I can't wait to see the look of Ahsoka Tano, essentially. So yeah, that's all I got. What do you guys think of the look of Ahsoka Tano so far? I think it's going to look much better in a live action formats, because obviously they do the face scans and they kind of animate them on the box. So not really the same thing, but pretty interesting look for her, in my opinion. So excuse me. Before we get to your favorite sequels, because I did put a post on Facebook, and got some people's feedback on their favorite sequels of all time. Before we get to that, we are going to talk about a couple movies that I got to see. So the first film here is called The Devil All the Time. You can watch this on Netflix. It's quite the movie, I will tell you that right now. This one's directed by Antonio Campos, who I've never heard of before, but what's really appealing about this movie, just in general, is this cast. Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Robert Pattinson, Mia Wasikowska, Jason Clarke. You can't get much better than this cast. I actually watched this movie the other day. Now, the first thing I'm going to say about this movie is it's very dark, brutal, and it's a longer watch, a little bit of a slower burn, very pulpy storytelling. There's a lot going on, so may not be for everybody. But if you kind of are interested in a movie with this cast, there is some fun to be had here. I know that's a weird thing to say about such a dark and brutal movie, but hear me out. The fun aspect to me kind of lies in the fact that we get to see how all these stories come together, and we're kind of waiting on that. Um, I enjoy kind of the "Oh brother, where art thou?" type humor that's in it. There's not a lot of it, but it knows when to make fun of itself for sure. But it's about as dark as something, say, like No Country for Old Men. So it's got some Coen Brothers vibes going on there, but also it kind of takes some inspiration from Quentin Tarantino with Pulp Fiction, kind of giving all these different storylines, and we got to see how they connect throughout. So that's kind of the mystery to the film. I thought the second half kind of fell off a little bit right there at the beginning of it, because the second half starts to really slow down the pacing, and that's when I kind of was like, oh boy. I mean, it's a stretch, there for a little while, and so wasn't a big fan of the pacing at the beginning of the second act, but then like I would say the third act of the film is very strong, has a very strong ending. Really enjoyed this one. I actually think it's underrated, from what I've been seeing. I don't know why it's getting the ratings it is. Seems to be pretty divisive. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different decisions with the characters, and you're either going to be on board with them or you're not. I thought the cast was fantastic, though. I mean, Tom Holland probably plays the most mature role that I've ever seen him play, and probably the most mature role that he has played. Robert Pattinson kind of plays this, sicko pastor, and he's a sicko Jesus freak. I don't mind people liking Jesus. I'm saying that the way that he uses religion is really wrong, and yeah, he plays quite the role. I mean, Robert Pattinson does a phenomenal job, as expected anymore. It just doesn't surprise me anymore when Robert Pattinson does a great job in movies, but it's also great to watch. But it doesn't surprise me anymore. The other thing, Mia Wasikowska, we don't get a lot of her in the movie, but she's good in the movie. She always does these types of. I feel like Mia Wasikowska, one of the things with her is like she's good, but she plays the same role a lot. I really feel that way. She's either, I mean, I don't know. I mean, outside of like Alice in Wonderland, right? She's playing the girl who is getting involved with men, but she's also got this innocence about her. Or I'm sorry, getting involved with some bad men, but she's also got this innocence about her. I mean, Jason Clarke, finally seeing Jason Clarke in a great movie again, or a great role again. I mean, it's a pretty sadistic and twisted role, but the role that he plays in the movie he still does a good job. I don't even think off the top I mentioned Sebastian Stan, who's pretty good in this movie. He's generally pretty good in movies. Um, I would say, but the other standout was definitely Bill Skarsgård. I think like Bill Skarsgård, Pattinson, and Tom Holland all made this film really work. But it's a very divisive film, though. Like a lot of the decisions, because there's a lot of different characters, a lot of things need to, fall into place a certain way, and I feel like the audiences are going to be divided on that, which might be why it's getting such a mixed reaction. But for me, I really like this movie. I think it's a very well made, very well directed. Oh, this is somebody else that stood out in this movie. And he's not in there necessarily a long period of time, but Harry Melling is in this movie, and wow, he did a really phenomenal job. I like that guy. He's been showing up in quite a bit, whether it be like Lost City of Z or post Harry Potter days. He's been showing up quite a bit, whether it be Lost City of Z or what's that other one I just that Coen Brothers movie. I can't remember the name of it, but that he was in that Coen Brothers movie that came out on Netflix. Ballad of Buster Scruggs is the Coen Brothers movie. So yeah, he's been doing some really great work post Harry Potter days. I mean, he's a good, kind of bratty little cousin in Harry Potter, but the stuff he's been doing after that has been pretty fantastic, and definitely superior to the kind of performances he would give then when he was younger, obviously, and he's grown as an actor. But yeah, I've been enjoying seeing him in films, so good to have him. So the other other thing about this movie is it's got a longer runtime for sure. I mean, it's going to feel longer because of the slow burns. Um, but like I said, like for the most part, it does a good job getting you invested in the characters, so you're not really minding the slow burns nearly as much as maybe you could be, because again, it's a movie that invests you. It's a movie that you're gonna really like watching. It's beautiful cinematography. I can't wait to see more from this Antonio Campos. I think he has a good eye behind the camera. I'm gonna definitely check out his filmography. This might be his first film of all time. I don't know. If it is, that's a pretty good start. But if he has other movies, I definitely want to check them out, because this movie, it's good how he puts all the pieces together. There's a lot of different, like, it's almost like a big puzzle, right? It's a lot of different puzzle pieces he has to put into place in order to make it all work in the again, work in the end. But for the most part, yeah, this movie really works, and it's pretty strong. I think that maybe Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson can both get Oscar nods, or Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård does a good job. So definitely something to look out for through the awards season. I know that the performances are definitely at least getting praise. So yeah, definitely check this one out. It's brutal, disturbing, but it's for the most part, but it's really good. It's really good how it all comes together at the end. So let me know what you guys thought of The Devil All the Time. Like I said, you can find this one on Netflix right now. Pretty much about crazy church going people. So not that people that go to church are crazy, but these people tend to use their religion in a pretty twisted and sadistic way. So yeah, might not be for you, but I do recommend it if it sounds like it's something you might be interested in. So yeah, for sure. So the second movie I got to review, and I watched this, is Enola Holmes. So let me start with saying that I love Millie Bobby Brown's work in what's the movie? Sorry, the show Stranger Things. Jesus, I love her work in that. I also liked her in that last Godzilla movie. I thought she was pretty good, but pretty standard character in there. It wasn't like she had a lot to do, but I thought she was really good in that movie. And I'm also obviously a massive Henry Cavill fan. I like Sam Claflin in the Hunger Games movie. I never saw that Me Before You movie that he did. Helena Bonham Carter. I'm a huge fan of these guys for the most part. So let's. This movie was directed by Harry Bradbeer. But let's talk about the movie itself. So, what is Enola Holmes for those of you who don't know? So, Enola Holmes is a new take in the Sherlock Holmes universe, I guess, or it's not really all connected in one universe, but it plays with the Sherlock Holmes mythology, but it's an entirely new take. Now Millie Bobby Brown plays Enola, who is Sherlock Holmes' sister, and she is also the sister of Sam Claflin in this movie, which is another Holmes, Mycroft Holmes or something like that. It's like it's a weird title like that. Mycroft, the Croft Holmes, or so, very odd name. But that's basically the premise, and so as you can imagine, this is kind of our main character, Enola, and she's got to be the detective. Now, in the beginning of this movie, I gotta say I was really worried, because it just felt like it was going to be another Netflix kind of family thing, and it was like, okay, like Millie Bobby Brown's a good actress, but she's never really, I mean, done a lot of movies before, and I was very worried in the beginning, and because I was like, well, she's gonna do one of these movies and it's just going to feel very basic and standard, and it's going to be fun for kids, but it's just, for the most part, it's going to be very basic and standard. While I think kids can enjoy this movie, I was very surprised by how much adults are also going to enjoy this movie, and how much this is a true family film, because let me tell you guys, this movie's awesome. I'm blown away. I was really like, from where we start in the movie to where we end up, from point A to point B, the contrast is astounding, because it starts out and you're thinking, oh boy, this might not be good, and then when it really starts to go through, it's awesome. So first of all, this movie has like a lot more action than I thought it was going to, so it's very action packed, and the action in there is actually filmed as good as it could be. I mean, some of the action is with Millie Bobby Brown's character Nola, So you don't really like, expect her to do like a lot of stunts, but I think that she does more than maybe she could have. But they still found a way to interweave certain things to really make the action work in this film, and I respect the hell out of that. The other part of this is definitely the fact that it does have its own unique editing style to it, and at times that could be jarring. Like, I won't lie to you, it can be. It just really depends on, it depends on a few things, but really, I mean, it's your own personal taste, really. But it does have its own unique editing style to it. So maybe people won't be on board with that, but it's not like it's all the time in the film. Like, for the most part, the editing style, it's hardly noticeable. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just a casual viewer going to watch this movie, you're going to be in the movie for the movie, and you're going to get invested. But I think that most people are going to like this movie. I actually think it's fantastic. Um, Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes is kind of a big deal because this is like, it's a legacy type character. A lot of different people play him, whether it be Benedict Cumberbatch or Robert Downey Jr., who both do justice for the character. But you kind of know what you're getting when you watch Sherlock Holmes. I think Henry Cavill might actually be my new favorite Sherlock Holmes. And I don't want to downplay Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Holmes, because his performance as Holmes is awesome. And Benedict Cumberbatch, I never got really invested in that series, but I've seen his performance in the series, and he does a good job. But the difference with Henry Cavill is he's playing a much different Sherlock Holmes than I'm used to. And at first I was like, nah, it might not be that good. But the more you spend time with them, you're like, oh my God, Henry Cavill's doing a phenomenal job as Sherlock Holmes. Because it's different. It's not a Sherlock Holmes that we'd ever seen before. So yeah, the further on it went, the more I got attached to the Henry Cavill as Sherlock. I'll tell you that right now. So listen, guys. Here's the thing. This movie is far more intense than I thought it was going to be, so it might not be for all children, but I think that there are a lot of kids that can watch it and appreciate it for what it was. It's darker than I thought it was going to be. The themes are even, like, pretty heavy at times. It's a really fun family film, so I definitely recommend checking this one out as soon as you can. So I also thought that the twists were really good. It's classic Sherlock Holmes twists, but they're good. Like, you don't expect everything to happen when it happens. I thought the way that they did all the detective work and everything was great. I think Enola is a very fun character to watch throughout the entirety of the film. There's a couple side characters in there that I'm like, maybe they didn't need to be there, but they're very small, very, and I'm like, okay. And just a couple tiny moments that I felt like there's a couple moments where it's Mycroft and Sherlock are talking to one another, and I just felt like these moments maybe could have been cut down or cut shorter, because I felt like I was watching them too long. But for the most part, this movie's really good. And of course, I said we got off to kind of a rocky start, but the movie is awesome by the end of it. I was surprised I was watching a Netflix original film, because like it looks like there's definitely like a lot of money put into this movie, and it really tried, and it was really nice to see a family film of this magnitude, they're done this well, because like I don't think we've seen like a family film done this well since maybe Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I'm already seeing reports that the filmmaker wants to make like 5 or 6 of these. I'm like, bring it on, man, because if you do that, this is the type of story that like warrants sequels, because it is that good. Like, they didn't like try to set it up for a sequel too much, but on the same hand, you're like, I want to spend a lot more time with these guys, and this story could evolve, and I want to see Enola grow. You know what I mean? And I think that Millie Bobby Brown could really immerse herself in this character, and she already did. And I actually think she's going to get an Oscar nod for this, like more than I thought any of the Devil All the Time actors were going to get one. I think that Enola Holmes is a phenomenal family film. I definitely recommend checking it out, guys. So let me know what you thought of Enola Holmes. I cannot wait to hear you guys' opinions on this one. But yeah, so let me know in the comments below. Okay, so on to the main thing we were gonna do today. Should be a lot of fun. Let's see here. So let me pull up my Facebook post. And let's see what you guys mentioned, because these will be really, really fun to talk about. Let me see here. Trying to get to my profile. And we are going to go to the post. Let's see here. Okay, so I posted on social media. I posed the question, what are your favorite movie sequels? Drop in the comments and I will discuss on the podcast Wednesday. And here we are on this wonderful Wednesday, and we are going to talk about these movie sequels. So, all right, so we got somebody that says all of the Friday the 13th. Listen, Friday the 13th's pretty fun movies. I don't disagree with that. The best, I don't know, like, there's one of the funny things about the Friday the 13th franchise is, like, I don't know that I've ever talked to a Friday the 13th fan that said that the first Friday the 13th was the best. Like, you hear that a lot with horror franchises, like Halloween. The first Halloween is the best, which in my opinion is the truth. Excuse me, and so on and so forth. You hear that all the time. First Nightmare on Elm Street was the best, but I actually don't know that I've ever talked to somebody whose favorite Friday the 13th was the first film. And in my opinion, it's not. Like, my favorite Friday the 13th, and it is the most fun, is definitely part 3, because it's the first one where we see Jason get his mask and all that kind of stuff. And to me, that's the most fun. I'm a very big fan of the first Friday the 13th, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't seem to be anybody's favorite. I mean, I hear part 6, the Jason Lives movie. I just, I hear all different sorts of different things. I even know some people that's favorite is Jason Takes Manhattan, which is cheesy fun, in my opinion. But once you get past Friday the 13th part 8, you got Jason Lives and not Jason Lives. You have Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. And I'm not big on those, but yeah. Yeah, to me, it's like, they are fun, though, all the way up to part 8. Oh, and then you got Freddy versus Jason, which is just a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, I'm gonna say yeah with that. I like the Friday the 13th. That's a very good comment. Thank you for sending that in. Let's see, you got somebody that says, I second this. All right, Adam Leach, good friend of the show, sends in, Airplane 2 was a banger. Yeah, gotta love Airplane 2. So yeah, Airplane 2 to me is one of the funnier comedy sequels out there. I really like Airplane 2 a lot. I think Shatner's cameo in that is awesome. I like the part where they're walking through the doors and the doors don't actually make sound, and they're just making the sound effects with their mouths. Psh, psh. I actually think that's really funny. Plays very well every time. Adam also adds, and while I'm on the subject, all the Naked Gun movies were bangers too. Yes, the Naked Gun movies with the Frank, what's his name? I can't remember his last name. Oh man, but those are really fun movies. Definitely agree with that 100%. They don't really make good slapstick like that anymore, unfortunately. So, all right. So we got this other comment. Okay, so somebody sends in, I'm not a Star Wars or Godfather fan. Well, that's too bad. But I love Harry Potter. Okay, so Harry Potter, let's start there. This person names a lot. So with Harry Potter, yeah, I mean, you really don't go wrong with any of them. All those sequels are fantastic. There's not a bad Harry Potter film in the bunch, honestly. I would love to dive deep into all of those, and maybe that'll be the next thing after I'm done doing all the Star Wars films on the channel, that I dive deep into Harry Potter. That would be pretty cool, huh? I would love to talk about those. My favorite Harry Potter personally is Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think that's pretty much most people's favorite Harry Potter. But if we're going to talk like sequel as in like second, I mean, Chamber of Secrets is a solid film. It still holds up. It's still one of my favorites in the series. I might rank it in the top 3. Not gonna lie to you. Okay, Ghostbusters. I'm not a big fan of Ghostbusters 2. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't find it nearly as funny. I think there's a lot about that movie that didn't work. I love the first movie. The first movie's classic. Let's see, Bridget Jones. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the third one yet. I think the first 2 are Not for me. But they're not bad, poorly made comedies either, but they're just not for me. I don't know if I'll ever watch the third one because those movies just really are not for me. But Renee Zellweger's a great actress. I like Colin Firth and Hugh Grant. I mean, they're all good performers, and they're well made movies. So, but those movies just aren't really for me. So, um, Alien. So, as in Aliens, like Aliens is one of the best sequels out there of all time. So yeah, I mean, Aliens, absolutely. James Cameron directing the follow up to Ridley Scott's Alien. Aliens is fantastic. One of the best action sequels out there. Ripley is such a great, you know, character. And then these are prequels. You have Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I actually really like both of those movies. I know that they take a lot of shit, but yeah, to me they were more in line with Ridley Scott's original vision. So I actually like the prequels to that. Alien 3 is divisive. I like elements of Alien 3. And then let me think. What was it? Alien 4 Resurrection. Just a dumb movie. Just a very dumb movie. But Aliens, the follow up to Ridley Scott's Alien, is one of the great sequels of all time. So good on you. We also have Sex in the City, not yeah. Let's see. I hear nobody was thrilled with that Sex in the City sequel. I haven't seen either. Wasn't a fan. I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan of the show. I didn't really watch the show. Maybe I should check it out. But I heard everybody was disappointed in that sequel. So, we have Jaws. Oh, listen, Jaws 2 is it's a movie that's fine. Jaws 3 is awful. Jaws for the Revenge is awful. Jaws 2 is at least fine. You got Roy Scheider in there. Roy Scheider in there. And but the first Jaws is, to me, it's like that's where it begins and ends. I mean, that to me is one of the greatest. It's probably Jaws is probably my second favorite movie of all time, so it's really just hard for any sequel to come and compete with that unless Steven Spielberg was going to direct it himself. It's very tough for me to actually get on board with a Jaws sequel. But Jaws 2 is fine for what it is. I just not something I'd watch a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's not a terrible movie. Or even a bad movie, at all. It's just it's good. It's fine. But nothing really stands up there with Jaws. Jurassic Park. Uh, yeah, I like Lost World. The follow up to Jurassic Park. Uh, yeah, I mean Lost World is basically it's fine. I feel the same way about it that I do Jaws, even though Spielberg directed both of those. I don't feel like Lost World really stood up there with the first Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 3 sucks. There's no secret about that. And then when we're talking about Jurassic World, like Jurassic World is the best Jurassic Park movie since Jurassic Park. Still doesn't really stand up there with Jurassic Park though. And then you have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which don't even get me started. I actually think that's the worst Jurassic Park movie out there. That's just my opinion. I hated Fallen Kingdom. I really did. But yeah, I mean, Jurassic Park The Lost World or I think it's actually called The Lost World Jurassic Park, is a decent sequel. It's decent. It's not amazing and definitely doesn't stand up there in my opinion, but I'm glad you like it, and good on you for sending that in. We also have another one here. Three Men and a Baby. Is that oh yeah, they did do that sequel, that's right. Never actually saw the sequel. I like the original. I think it's fun. They're remaking that, by the way. With like Zac Efron's going to be in it, and so that'll be interesting. But I'd never actually seen the sequel. Can't speak on it. I'll check it out. I know they're both on. Pretty sure they're both on Disney Plus at the moment, so I'll check that out for sure. Cocoon. What? Did Cocoon have a sequel? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Um, yeah, so it says Three Men and a Baby and Cocoon both had great sequels. Never actually seen either, so I am maybe one of the few, but I would love it if they made a sequel to The Goonies and E.T. Last Christmas ET commercials were such a tease. Yeah, those ET commercials last Christmas. I remember everybody thought that that was going to be it was an actual trailer for ET2. They were like, "Holy shit." There was like no word on that coming out, and then they saw the rest of it. And it was like, oh, it's just an advertisement. But yeah, it was crazy. Pretty cool to watch, for sure. So maybe an ET sequel would have been interesting. I'd never really been a big like I've never really been rooting for that necessarily, but it might be an interesting thing to do. The Goonies was actually a sequel that was going to happen for like the longest time. They kept trying and never quite worked out. So yeah, I mean, I really wanted that Goonies sequel to happen. They were going to get the original cast back, but they just really couldn't agree on a script. And I think Spielberg didn't direct the first one. I think Richard Donner was going to direct again at the time. Yeah, it just never really came to be. And I think everybody's kind of too old now. You could do like a reboot that'd be similar. But I don't know. I mean, it might happen. These projects always circle around Hollywood. I'm sure at some point we will see a Goonies related project, but having the original cast back as adults to me was the most appealing, and going on another adventure to me was the most appealing idea. And unfortunately, we're just probably never going to get that. They could, I mean, yeah, it just, I don't know. Unfortunately. But hate to end the show on a sour note, but that is all the time I do have here today. I want to thank everybody for sending in the sequels and their favorite sequels. My favorite sequel, personally, in case anybody wanted to know, is Empire Strikes Back. I know it sounds like the obvious one, but Empire Strikes Back is my favorite movie of all time. So I have that poster right there, right there. So for Empire, and it's my favorite sequel of all time, or favorite movie of all time. So of course it's going to be my favorite sequel. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Probably a shorter show than we usually do, but I do appreciate everybody for tuning in, sending in their favorite sequels and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys very much. I've been Don Martino. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, leave feedback in the comment section below. I will also be leaving my Twitter and Instagram in the description below, so be sure to follow me there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I've been Dom Martino. This is Dom's Corner, and I will see you guys on Saturday, where we're actually going to talk about The Empire Strikes Back. I will see you guys then. Make sure you tune in. Thank you very much. I've been Dom Martino. See you on Saturday.